everyone, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to review a retro movie. And this is not going to be in the classics. In honor of Chadwick Boseman, the passing of Chadwick Boseman, I am here to review the first film I had ever seen Chadwick Boseman in. It was a fantastic film. You know, a lot of people are going to watch a lot of his stuff in the, throughout the week. Of course, I'm going to watch Black Panther again. You got to watch Black Panther again. But I am here to review Get On Up, the James Brown biopic, and the first movie I had ever seen Chadwick Boseman in. And particularly the first movie I ever remember seeing him in where I was like, this dude is legit. And like literally, I remember seeing that and just be like, this dude's legit. I don't know who he is, but he's legit. And Get On Up is the biopic, is the story of James Brown from being just this young kid, young kid growing up in shitty neighborhood, no one really, he never even knew who his mom was, and he knew who his mom was, he knew his parents, but his parents were just shitty, and they were just really bad to him, and he just wanted to get the hell away from there. And he grew up in terrible, terrible environment. I mean, there's this one scene of him as a kid, like, fighting in this boxing ring for all these, I gotta imagine this is like, this is obviously a long time ago. So it's, it's a little dicey, how old James Brown was. So it's clear this is a long time ago in the past. But I just remember the scene of him fighting in a boxing ring for the entertainment of all these white people. And eventually, things happen. He ends up meeting up with this, with another fellow musician along the way. Another fellow musician along with other people such as Little Richard. He meets a Little Richard along the way, and Little Richard really gives him inspiration to try to do more things, and he's listening to, some of the themes, some of the stuff that's going on, and, and eventually, like I said, he joins up with a couple other people, and you see his rise and his falls throughout the course of the movie. And it's really not hard to really talk about the movie because most of this stuff is just historical stuff. Him going to Vietnam, the problems all the women that he slept with, and the wives and the children. All that's pretty well documented about James Brown and the kind of guy that he is. But the thing is, this movie was the first time I really saw Chadwick Boseman, and he did such a great job. He embodied James Brown, the moves, the voice, the mannerisms, the way he walked, the way he talked, the way he kind of made his face look. The way he did it was like, he really embodied James Brown, and like you really believed him. He was, he was the soul, man. He was the funk, And, he did such a good job with all the music from, all the James Brown hit, and Man's World and all these different hits that James Brown, Get On Up, obviously, like all these different songs, he just did like there's just so many great James Brown songs that you can go through that would just, you would need all day to do it. And he did a great job at that, and and he did this great job, and the movie itself did a great job of this as well, of showing just like this man who just, he shined so bright, but he just kind of became obsessed, so to speak, with his fame, with who he was. I will never forget, like, one of the first things that happened in the movie was we meet his best friend. I can't remember his best friend's name for the life of me. Well, not best friend, but like the person, a colleague of his who would go on to be one of his best friends. I think his name was Bird. I'm sorry. Those names kind of flew over my head when I was watching the movie again. But I remember when when him and his friend were starting to get this thing going, and they were starting to get a rapport going, and the classic tale of like, yeah, we're broke right now, so he wanted him to stay at his parents' house with them. We're inspiring musicians, and of course his sister is immediately eyeballing James, and like there is this hilarious sequence which I remember when I saw this, when I first saw it, I was like, I'm not sure how I would handle this situation. I meet this guy. Me and him are boys. I like this dude. We're gonna go out and we're gonna be musicians together. We're gonna go out and we're gonna be a writer team. Be like Marcus and McFeely or some shit like that. And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, and I introduce him and I'm like, you know what, dude, it's cool. We can just crash at my mom's house. We can crash at my mom's house. We can work on our shit and we gonna go out there and do it. And while we're doing that, I suddenly come home one day and I'm just like, I suddenly come home one day and I'm like, and I heard, what the fuck is that? And James, and he's upstairs banging my sister. He handled it a lot better than I would, because his mom was looking for James, and well, looking for the sister. And he's like, oh no, they're not upstairs, they're somewhere else. Yeah, you know, get away from the door. Like, he actually, you know, I don't know if I would have handled it that way, but I suppose the way at that point in the movie, it seemed like maybe they're gonna be in a relationship, you know, maybe they're actually, you know, gonna be a thing. He ended up getting his sister pregnant. I believe he married her, but I can't remember off the top of my head if he married her or not. No, he didn't stay married to her, but he ended up getting her pregnant and whatnot, and, well, ended up leaving his sister, just dropping her like a bad habit, to the point where he's just like, bro, you don't even, you can at least call my sister. You just, like, knocked my sister up, didn't even call. Like, near the tail end of that movie of Get On Up, you really start to not like James Brown. I'm not sure how much of it is true, but he just really, like, he did this thing where it really came off, like, the feeling that I got was, and there's this line that I never forgot, one of my all-time favorite movie lines. I've never forgotten this line because I do think there's a lot of truth in this line. And it was said, and even in the Michael Jordan documentary about winning, to be the boss, you gotta pay the cost. That was one of the lines he said, and I remembered it in the trailer and I remembered it in the movie. To be the boss, you gotta pay the cost. And the idea is, to have all this fame, to be this spectacular, to be this guy that you know James Brown is, I have to be willing to step on people, break hearts, do what I want, upset people, fuck friends over. I don't care. I have to be willing to do all these things to be who I am, to have this shine. And that's a concept that's been shown in many biopics before, about how once you get that fame and stuff, because I've always believed that two things happen. When you come from nothing or close to nothing and you get everything, and you become a megastar and you get all the things beyond your wildest dreams, things that you never thought you could ever get, two things happen to people like that. Only two. Either A, they become humble. They become humbled by it. They become humbled. They remember what it's like not to have anything. They remember what it's like to be nobody. They remember these things, and they, you know, and they want to not be that. You know, there's plenty of examples of that. You know, people who came from nothing and now they made something of themselves, so they think it's their responsibility to be humble, to give back, to be a part of the community, and all of these other things. And then there's the other side, which is suddenly you feel like you feel like I deserve this. Nobody else is there. Like, you start to get arrogant with it, like, nobody else is there for me to get me here. I got here on my own. It's all mine. Fuck everybody else. I'm the reason I'm here. I'm the reason this is shining. I worked hard for this. And you know, and you start to become inside a bubble in your own mind, because you're just like, I did this. I did this. I'm the one with the shine. I'm the one with the shine. And now all of a sudden you become this petty person who's writing all these who now it's not about the fact that you're this amazing story. Like, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm an amazing story because I'm that. And I got a lot of checks that I need to be cashed to a bunch of people, because I talked because a bunch of people doubted me, and fuck all of them. And you become obsessed with your star, obsessed with not letting this thing go. You don't care anymore about where you came from. Fuck where I came from. I got away from there. And that's kind of what happened, at least the interpretation of how James Brown went. Like I said, I've really only ever seen it two ways. Either you are that, where you're just like, fuck my past, fuck all that, I earned all this, none of you deserve a damn thing from me, fuck all you from my past, I'm new money now, I don't care. Or you're humbled, and you know you want to help everyone out, and you want to be a good, genuinely good person. And I've only seen it the two ways, and this movie really did a great job of showing it the second way with James Brown. I mean, near the tail end of that movie, man, I mean, he really was pissing off his best friend. I mean, he really was doing some foul shit just because he could, dude. Just because he could. I'm trying, like, man, there was some stuff. Like, I don't want to really get into the gritty details. I mean, the movie came out in 2014, but there was some stuff for that movie where I was just like, yo, bro, like, yo, man, that's a little much. And, you know, James Brown died, I believe, in 2006. I believe 2006 Christmas Day. I believe. Don't quote me on that one. I could be thinking about someone else. Maybe I'm thinking about somebody else who died. I know he died on Christmas, but I think it was 2006. I can't remember for the life of me. Maybe it was more later than that. I think it was 2006. And, you know, he was such an influential guy in... You know, this would be one of the roles that he does, because he goes on to play Thurgood Marshall, and well, we played Jackie Robinson before this, Chadwick, and he goes on to play Thurgood Marshall. But to me, this was the definitive best role. I didn't mind Thurgood Marshall, you know, Marshall. I didn't even hate Jackie Robinson, though, I mean, 42, though, admittedly, while 42 was getting a lot of acclaim, I found it, at the time, I haven't watched it in a long time, maybe I need to watch it again, I found it a little boring. Like, I liked him in it, but I found the actual stuff a little boring, but this movie just knocks it out of the park. I loved Get On Up. It's such a good movie. Chadwick Boseman's so good at it. He embodies James Brown so well. I mean, you genuinely, dude, you go from like, he's kind of charming to, fuck this dude. Like I'm telling you, you go from, he's kind of charming, fuck this guy. Like, but you understand how his mind got there. When you see the environment he grew up in, when you see where he came from, you can see how easily you could become that kind of person too. You can become this ego-driven, just, I got everything I did to get here, fuck everybody else. You can understand how a guy could become that. So I give Get On Up, 2014's Get On Up, an 8.5 out of 10. I give it an 8.5 because it didn't I couldn't give it a little higher than that, because while Chadwick Boseman's performance was extremely great, and the movie was filmed well, and the music was great and well timed, and they did a great job of breaking down the character of James Brown, it is a not paint by the numbers biopic, but it's not revolutionary to biopics. The rest of the cast is good to meh. Like, I can't even remember anybody in the movie for real, even after seeing it, except for Chadwick Boseman. And like I said, it doesn't really invent the wheel. So the fact that the rest of the cast isn't bringing it to his level or really close to his level, and the fact that it doesn't really do anything to reinvent the biopic, you know, landscape, it's really hinging on his fantastic performance. A lot like the Joker in The Dark Knight. Like, without that performance, then the movie would drop down in quality. And that's kind of the vibe here, and I just said that to The Dark Knight, so I can't be hypocritical here, but I thought his performance was so great, and I thought it was so well shot. Music and the score were great. It has to get an 8.5. It was a damn good biopic, one of my favorites. I will admit, I recently saw Rocket Man, and Rocket Man is probably my favorite musical biopic, because it did do all the things I just said this movie didn't do, but I digress. Get On Up. Have you ever seen Get On Up? Check it out, people. I wanted to make this video just to suggest it to you. To just Get On Up. It's a movie that I don't see get a lot of attention. It's a biopic movie that I don't see get a lot of attention. I thought it was extremely well done. Had funny moments, had heartbreaking moments, had inspirational moments, had real moments in it. And it had one of my favorite lines of all time. To be the boss, you gotta pay the cost. Thank you guys for watching the Comic Game Movie Show. See you in the next one. Goodbye. Wait. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.